let national headlines spill into this local news program, but that cup runneth over today, spilling right into the lap of Colorado's Republican Senator Cory Gardner, who just happened to be at President Trump's side, literally at his side, when the president's former campaign manager and his attorney were both convicted today, and the president was implicated publicly in court by that attorney. President Trump's in West Virginia tonight to rally for a Republican Senate candidate, and Senator Gardner is in charge of the committee to elect Republicans to the Senate. So that explains why Senator Gardner is with the president, trailing steps behind as they got off Air Force One. President Trump gave Gardner a special shout-out at that rally about 30 minutes ago as well. Considering his rare proximity on an historic day, we hope to hear whether Senator Gardner was uncomfortable at all being at the side of the president as two of his former allies are convicted, and also to get our senator's take on the president being implicated by his former attorney for campaign finance violations over hush money. I have been unable to get a response from a few of Senator Gardner's people. As the dominoes drop around the president, got me wondering about a similar time in American history and how Colorado's political leaders dealt with it then, when President Nixon's allies were indicted in 1974. Nixon, as you may know, was actually named as an unindicted co-conspirator by the same grand jury, but that was not immediately known at the time. What Colorado's Republicans did know in early 1974 is that they had to find some way to get the public's attention off Watergate before the November election. So that's why Congressman Don Brotzman, Republican from Boulder, yeah, you heard that right, put this quote-unquote poll in Colorado's newspapers, the screaming headline saying, U.S. citizen says forget Watergate. The poll is actually from Brotzman's own office. It's just begging Coloradans not to pay attention to the scandal that was engulfing the president. Whatever happened to Congressman Brotzman? He got rolled pretty bad in the Democratic landslide of 1974, but don't worry about him. He left politics and had a nice long career as a lobbyist. Frank Rusick today stared down the man accused of killing his pregnant daughter and granddaughters in Firestone, but he also broke down at times in court this morning. The suspect, Chris Watts, waived his right to a preliminary hearing in the murder case against him, will return to court in November. We'd like to take a moment, though, to acknowledge the transparent view of that judicial process that we're being offered in this case by the district court judge, Marcelo Capcal. The judge's decision to allow a camera in his courtroom for this proceeding allows you and the public to see your judicial system at work. If you're not interested in seeing the proceedings, well, that's fine. Just don't watch. But confidence in our public institutions, confidence in people's right to a fair trial, those things are strengthened when citizens can actually see how the legal system works. The judge's restrictions on journalists in the courtroom are tough, but they are fair. They're aimed at minimizing disruptions while maximizing your right to know. I hope that all of us in the media are very careful to respect the judge's orders so that we can preserve your view of the inner workings of the criminal justice process. His fellow officers are not going to leave the hospital until he does. That's what they're saying about Cherry Hills Village police officer Corey Sack, who was shot twice late last night, hit in the leg and ankle. He had surgery this morning. He is expected to be okay. Officer Sack was responding to a 911 hang-up call that turned out to be a home invasion. 4 suspects are still on the loose. Encouraging news out of Colorado Springs, where Officer Gem Gizelle is out of intensive care for the first time since he was shot in the head while confronting a man with a gun. He's still in the hospital. CSPD says his family has been overwhelmed by the hundreds of cards and notes they've received. Englewood is preparing to spend money on a sudden expenditure. Not fixing the stormwater system overwhelmed by last month's rains in dangerous fashion. Nope, the city is now spending money on special election ballots for a recall. Our politics guy, Marshall Ehlinger, explains why this might not be the last.
Yes or no? 2 simple answers to a $15,000 question. Should Englewood City Councilwoman Laurette Ballantyne be recalled from office?
Nobody should be recalled for doing their job.
Ballantyne, who was elected in 2015, will appear by herself on a special ballot going out to 5,300 voters in Englewood District 3 next week. The election, which cost the city $15,000, asks, keep Ballantyne on council or kick her off.
If you're ever comfortable, you're not growing. And I certainly must be growing because I haven't been comfortable for the last 2.5 years. So
I know when I was mayor, I had many people come up and say they were going to recall, but it never went this far.
Former Mayor Randy Penn is one of the 4 who initiated the recall effort, which has split his neighborhood, where his vote yes sign stares out at his neighbor's vote no.
How she operates, how she handles people, how she handles the employees. It's almost like she's obstructing some of the things that could go on for a better Englewood.
The group to recall her has laid out their issues on a special website, including a video from a study session 2 years ago when the city manager tells a story of feeling threatened by a council member. Are you a bully?
No, but I have been able to convince people to go ahead and try and get more information and rethink some issues that the city has been looking at.
And this recall effort has set off a challenge, apparently, to see who gets recalled next, as seen at last night's city council meeting.
We'd like to read a petition to recall council member Amy Martinez.
The petition recalled Dave Siesta.
We will be recalling the recallers.
You get a recall and you get a recall. Okay, so this is going to be the city that is so experienced in elections. Englewood had an election in November 2017. They had a special election to fill a vacant city council seat in May. They've got this special election, and Kyle, if it succeeds, they have to spend money on yet another special election to fill her seat if she loses it in the recall.
Democracy, expensive business. Marshall, thank you. Next, viewers whose families depend on EpiPens for a shot at life during an allergic emergency have been asking us for months now about a nationwide EpiPen shortage. Today, the FDA announced extended expiration dates for some EpiPens. They're tacking on an additional 4 months of shelf time on the typical 20-month lifespan. Now, this extended shelf life does not apply to the EpiPen Junior, so I ask you to carefully check the list that we posted in this article on 9news.com.
Millions of peaches. Peaches for me, said the deer, caught doing the most Colorado thing we saw today. We're at the point now where we are giving you a daily haze forecast. And in a state where everything seems high, we go in search of the lowest spot in Colorado. Think you know where it is? I'll be reading your guesses during the break. Email next at 9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext.
The most Colorado thing we saw today.
I mean, it's not dumb. They're good peaches.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on, like deer don't enjoy Palisade peaches too. Jill Smith spotted this in Buena Vista at the Palisade Peach Tent in the City Market parking lot. Note that Jill spotted it, but the woman running the peach stand completely oblivious. My favorite part, though, is that Jill said that after she stopped recording, the woman running the stand turned around, saw it, did not freak out, and actually offered the deer more peaches.
Everybody needs a snack now and then, right? Oh my goodness, too cute. It has been a stormy afternoon across the entire state. Just put on the lightning tracker, more than 1,800 strikes within the past about 20 minutes time. Really, the most severe storms have been in south central Colorado, where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in place till 6:45. These storms tracking in from the southwest, quickly moving off to the northeast. Out to the west near Grand Junction, the Grand Mesa through Glenwood Springs and Carbondale. Heavy rain coming down. Issue that we are keeping a close eye on as far as all the burn scars out there. With the flash flood watch in place, we could see some mudslides late tonight and potentially into tomorrow too, as the rain kind of relentless. Around the metro area, it's hit and miss. Some light rain showers coming through Byers, south toward Castle Rock and Kiowa, but for now a little lull here in Denver, just in time to get the Rockies game underway. We still have the smoke, the haze that's out there, unfortunately, and we have that air quality alert in place until midnight with the ozone action day. Visibility still poor, but with the rain and some gustier winds, I have high hopes that tomorrow we see some improvement in our air quality. Hopefully all of this will help kind of scour out that smoke and get it out of here. I'm sick of it. We're looking at the future cast the rest of this evening into tomorrow morning. Fairly quiet. We're watching some scattered showers early on across the eastern plains. We'll get a brief break around lunchtime, and then those thunderstorms start firing up in the mountains, the foothills, and then race onto the plains by about 5, 6 o'clock. They'll push off to the eastern side of the state late tomorrow evening. Still a cool day in the 70s for a lot of folks around here, and then we'll jump to the 80s Thursday, nice and dry, hot by Friday. Got a couple of storms coming in both Saturday and Sunday, but it's not going to be till really late at night, so you should be good to go.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. If you happen to have a pair of crutches or a wheelchair, maybe a walker lying around your house, a reminder of a time that you or somebody you knew couldn't get around without them, allow a man in Denver to take them off your hands and offer the gift of mobility to somebody else. I want you to meet David Talbott. David's been collecting walkers and wheelchairs and crutches, other mobility aids through his nonprofit Crutches for Africa since 2005. He's already sent more than 100,000, mainly to countries in Africa. David was inspired because he lost most of the use of one of his legs to polio.
Watching people get up off the ground, watching the joy on somebody's face when they get a wheelchair and they have none, and they never thought they would ever see one, much less receive one. It's really exciting.
David's story came to us through a next viewer who responded when we asked the other night, is there somebody we should meet? And they said, oh, you've got to meet David. And here's his story about how he went to Uganda in 2005, saw people using sticks for crutches, and realized we just throw them in the closet and don't use them. Today, David has a dozen collection sites across different states and countries.
It's a trashy idea, and it's genius.
Just the beauty of it.
And keep guessing Colorado's lowest point. I'll tell you this, it's along the state's border. And Dr. Max and Steve talk about a G thing, which is just as awkward as you would think. That's next.
If you have biked or jogged along Cherry Creek recently, you might have seen it, the big metal contraption that's floating on the water on pontoons. It's designed to be a solution to the trash in the creek. Our Noel Brennan found the students who were behind that project.
In the shadows and shallow water of Cherry Creek.
The beautiful part here is it's all mechanical.
Seniors at CU Denver are tweaking a feat of engineering.
We're working at this environmental machine that cleans the rivers from trash. It works by the flow of the water that moves this wheel, and the screw rotates upwards and taking the trash out.
Rita Iznagi is the lead engineer.
So it took us about 3-4 solid months to build this thing.
This trash removal prototype came from a class project and diverse ideas.
I'm originally from Rabat, the capital of Morocco. We have Mu'adh from Saudi Arabia, we have Mohammed from Kuwait, and we have Ayman from Libya.
And don't forget Associate Professor Rafael Sanchez.
I'm from Mexico, from the northwest part of Mexico. Each one of us look at the world is different, and when that happens, everybody provides ideas that are brilliant in their own different, unique way.
The students are still working out the kinks.
It's working, yes. It's working better, yes.
They see this concept working on a bigger scale to clean rivers, lakes, even oceans.
And this is an effort that I'm sure is going to continue, it's going to go on, and that something very good is going to come out of this.
At the very least, it's a learning experience that might motivate others to help clean the creek. For Next, I'm Noel Brennan.
Students are already planning some tweaks, and they're talking about other prototypes as well, including one where somebody could pedal the machine on water, just like a bike.
Our next question comes from a viewer named Norman. With all the talk of Colorado's 14ers, it begs the question, what or where is the lowest point in Colorado?
So I was thinking maybe somewhere up in the northeast corner near Julesburg. So I've been reading your guesses throughout the program. Carol thought it was Ray. DJ guessed Akron. Ryan said in the Alamosa area. Ann and Lydia were thinking maybe the base of Black Canyon, which is a beautiful spot, but not the lowest in our state. For the official answer, we reached out to an assistant professor at Metro State. Dr. David Parr teaches geospatial science, and he says the official answer has actually shifted over time. There have been 3 contenders for the lowest point in Colorado since the 1940s.
In the 40s, the U.S. Geological Survey calculated that the Arkansas River flowing into Kansas was the lowest point in Colorado. That number was revised about 20 years later to be the North Fork of the Republican River flowing into Nebraska with a slightly higher elevation. There's actually another area just south of where the Republican River flows into Nebraska, where a river called the Rickery flows into Kansas.
2 people got it, as far as I could tell. Paul Friarino and Kay Bugosh wrote in with that. So they've changed the way they measure this over time. First, it was surveying equipment. Now they use remote sensing. They also use GPS technology and satellites. Dr. Parr says the lowest point shifting about, it's a matter of technology over the years. He did say one thing that's indisputable is that Colorado has the highest lowest point in the U.S. Next closest is Wyoming. When we return, Dr. Max and Steve talk about a letter that we have seen millions of times. But come on, you can't write this for the life of you. That's next. It is a sign spotted by Next viewer Todd Bierman in Windsor. And, well, clearly something is not right here. Dolls, I think that said it's a doll's sign. Todd just wanted to know if he has to stop. Just stop, Todd. Don't test the system. If you see a sign that makes you look twice, email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. You ever get into like the most random, imaginable conversation with a friend and you come away laughing and laughing? That's about every time that Dr. Max and Steve Steger get together to talk. Recently, Dr. Max pointed out that every day we see this letter. This is the lowercase g in Times New Roman font. I mean, it's on every computer. It's on all these documents. We see it all the time. And yet, we cannot draw this correctly.
It's time for another Max and Steve, and this time
this one's important, Steve. I don't mean to interrupt. It's important.
No, it's very important. We're talking about G's,
yes,
and not gangsters, but like actual letter G.
Like the actual letter G, and a very specific letter G, lowercase Times New Roman G.
Like that one.
It's this guy right here.
They did research on this.
They did, and first of all, that's not a G. That's like a weird 8.
It is. It's like a squiggly, and it's like you made an 8 on top and made the bottom extra squiggly.
Yeah, or a person with a long nose sitting on an ergonomic chair.
Yeah,
that's what this is. Mm-hmm. So yes, psychologists looked at this, and what they have determined is that people can look at this G all day long, and then they can't draw it. Like it blows our mind that this would be a G. But our brains are really good at glossing over a lot of details. You know, it's the same reason why you can read a word that is missing all the vowels. It's just our brains are really good at doing that. So in the research, the people had participants read a whole bunch of words that had Times New Roman G's in them, lowercase g's, and then a few minutes later they had them draw the G as exactly as they could, and it was a disaster. People could not do it.
I don't think I could do it in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it with that thing on the screen.
It's tough. It's a very complicated design.
All right, I'm going to try to draw this, but let's wait a little while. And see if I
good luck. All I can say is good luck.
Okay.
Why they praying on my downfall? Yeah. Why they praying on my downfall? Yeah. They praying on my...
So what exactly did you draw? I feel like you drew...
should this not be on here?
I think you drew a toilet seat. Yeah, that lower loop should not be there. It's an 8. So that's about as good as most people can get.
Dr. Max taking Steve back to school. I forgot my microphone, so I'm going to truncate this segment. A shout out to the Brush Beat Diggers, kind enough to send me a shirt. Best mascot in Colorado. They go back to school today, and I will see you next time.